Yeah, all right. Jesus Christ, how close am I? I've said I'm going to do it for a while now, and I did this video last night. Oh, bear with me. Alexa, set a timer for 30 minutes.
30 minutes, starting now.
Cheers, honey. And the reason that I've had to do that is because I shot a 50-minute video last night talking bollocks about this kit for 50 minutes. And then when I came to do post-production, you know, because I'm a bit Steven Spielberg, it had actually broke the video down into a 30-minute video and a 20-minute video. Dink, dink. So I've got 30 minutes to tell you all about it. Okay, it is the MIL Trumpeter it's up there at box. MIL Mi-24V Hind-E helicopter, attack helicopter. Got this kit off Dave Housecroft down at club, who had thinned his stash out, same as I got the Spitfire from him. And it has been on my sort of like radar to-do list, if you will, for quite some time. But it's one of those kits that it's very expensive and I've never had the money to do it. But Dave came and said, look, give me X amount of pounds, mate. You can take it off my hands. Even Dick Turpin wore a mask because I snatched it off him. And two colour schemes that are in the kit. One is that one and one is that one. And I love that particular scheme, that sort of blue, dark grey blue tiger stripy one. So that's what I decided to do. I've got a little bit of a cheat sheet here to save me going through the book, because what I don't want to do is start going through the book saying, right, seats, cockpit. I don't want to do all that. Okay, so this is my cheat sheet. Have you read it? It's a great kit, great bit of kit. Go and buy it, you won't be disappointed. Coming off the back of the Spitfire, the Airfix 1 in 24 Spitfire, which was a phenomenal kit. I needed something to keep that euphoria going, and this was it. Okay. Standard stuff, sprue guide, seats, cockpit, bit of a seat for back boys, engines. They're only really small, you know. I thought that they'd be a lot bigger, but either. And then that's when on page 8 it starts to completely come out of sequence for a season builder, because it starts telling you to put your engines onto the bird, and it tells you to put your wings on and your pylons and your undercarriage and all that sort of stuff. And let's be absolutely honest, you just don't do that. Once you've started building sub-assemblies, then you put them all to one side. Now, I backwards build. Let me get a comfy seat. I backwards build. So when I do a build, because I don't do armour, I mainly do aircraft, as you probably know, and I've come into a couple of helicopters recently. Backwards build, so I do all the armament first. I build it, sand it, fill it, sand it, prime it, paint it, gloss it, decal it, weather it, and then toss it into a bin. I say a bin. I toss it into an old takeaway tub, and it's all in there. And for this particular kit, because I wanted to milk this kit in that I'd spent a lot of money on it, for me, I know I take the piss a little bit, saying, oh, you know, tight Yorkshireman and all that lot. Look, at the end of the day, my saying is, if it's in the box, it's going in. It's going on. And obviously all that's not going on. But I can't buy a kit with all of that extra stuff and just put it into a big sort of tub from B&M as sprues of unbuilt armament. It's part of the kit, so I'm going to build it. And I'm going to put it in my bin. And I've already taken some photos. I've left myself plenty of space up here tonight to put some sort of build sequence photos up. Okay, and a part of that was all the armour. Well, what am I going to do with it? Well, no, I'm not going to do no with it. I'll probably take some photos. I might get the bird out later down the line and sort of like put all the armament in front which is what you see into it on Google and stuff like that. But other than that, I've built it because it's in the kit and I've spent money on it, and it's not just going to go by the wayside. Okay. Backwards builder did the armament, decided on the colour scheme, and that's the part where it became tricky. And I have posted onto Facebook and Instagram and TikTok. I'm a TikToker. Content creator, I think we're called. Although I would never describe myself as that. I'm not absolutely mad. But the paint job on some of the photos, it looks blues, and on some of the photos it looks two-tone grey, and you'd say, well, you know, which colour is it? Is it blue or is it grey? And it's actually both. One chap said to me, how did you paint that? What colours did you use? And it's really hard to describe what colours I did use, because I can't just say, oh, I used blue, I used this particular blue, or I used this particular grey, for the simple reason being, I black-based the bird. Forget about the build. Look, if you've got the kit or you think, oh, I fancy a bit of that, you won't go wrong. Let's get that out of the way first. It's a 1 in 35 Hind helicopter, and it's absolutely enormous. I don't think it's as big as that lifting helicopter that's recently come out. It's not quite that big, but it's still chunky, still big. So get the build out of the way. It's literally gluing bits of plastic together. You can do that, sand it, smooth it, fill it, sand it, do whatever, blah blah blah. Okay, the build process is an absolute piece of piss. It's coming down to your paint job, and let's be honest, that's where a lot of modelling comes in. Especially when you're airbrushing, because you can do flat colour or you can start to tone things up, and I'm sure that there's people watching this that are going, yeah, of course, yeah, standards, part of course, it's what we do. But I've just been chatting to John Sharrock, the Mediocre modeller on YouTube, and he's been following the build for quite some time, and I keep posting pictures on, and I've sent him a picture tonight, the money shot. I said, that's it then, John, what do you think to that? It's absolutely stunning, mate, absolutely superb. And I have posted it all over Facebook today on purpose, not because I want thumbs up. Do I care? Yeah, of course I care. We all care, don't we? Otherwise we wouldn't do it. Okay. The reason that I posted it on Facebook is because I were hoping that people would ask the question, how did you paint that? How did you weather that? And that's what this particular video is going to focus on. Okay, once you've built it and you've got your sub-assemblies on one thing or another all sort of put to one side, you've actually got a helicopter in front of you, and I can only talk about the colour scheme that I've painted in, okay? So my first sort of like decision was, how am I going to do that tiger stripe effect? Because there are certain ways that you can do that. You can buy a mask set. I think that's from the Czech Republic, Czechoslovakia, but it's 35 quid. Now, it's a one-shot deal, is that, isn't it? Because even if unless you built another Hind with exactly the same scheme, straight away after you've done that one, that mask is literally redundant, unless, of course, you took the time and effort, and don't forget it's going to be full of paint all the way around edges, to peel it off ever so carefully and then put it back onto your masking sheet. And remember which sequence that you did it in. Okay, so let's be honest, it's a one-shot deal. So I didn't want to go down that route. I got some masking paper. Tell me you do a masking sheet, 5 sheets for 4 or 5 quid. And I thought, actually, I'm going to do that. But again, it's like, right, well, when I talk to people on Facebook, well, I call it social media, and I'm saying, I'm just wondering how I'm going to do this. And I got the typical responses, if you will, on, oh, blow that picture up, mate. Have you got a scanner? Have you got this? You can cut it out. You can do this. And again, it weren't singing to me, because I know it was, you're tempting They're tempting the fate of bleed with that particular way that you can do that. So again, you know, this is where I talk about patience and don't rush in. When you're building a model, you build a model. But when it comes down to the actual paint job, don't rush in. Patience is key. Now, I do use MRP, and on the actual colour sheet, it does say fuselage colour is dark grey stripes were sprayed over overall light grey coating. However, when you look at the box, it's grey and grey. But when you look at the actual instruction paint guide, it's more of a blue. So what I wanted to do, was find a happy medium. In some of the shots that you see, it's grey. On some of the shots, it's blue. The question is how did I achieve that? Black basing. Let's start there. Black basing. Once it's all black based, and I've always said I never use a primer. Okay, but I dropped on this one from Mark Little, and that's an MRP. Now, it might be back to front. I'm going to have to see if I can spin it round in post-production. That's a MRP LPB Fine Surface Primer Black. And I've talked about MRP in the past, where it is so thin, it's unbelievable. Every single bit of detail still shows through. Now, if you're going to argue up toss and say, oh, well, Tamiya does that, if you thin it with lacquer thinner and this does it and that does it, listen, this is straight out of ball, straight into your airbrush, 7 psi, put a little bit of trigger lock on it if you've got that facility on your airbrush. If you haven't, just be careful on how far you're pulling back. And it will not flood the surface. We all see those videos where somebody has built a model and they've primed it in black, and I'm not kidding. You look at it and you think, Jesus Christ, how much fucking paint have you put on that? Primer, for me, is the ultimate thin coat. It does not need, it needs to be microns thick, because all it's doing is it's sticking to the plastic to give the paint something to stick to. It does not need to be buried in paint. And that MRP Fine Surface Primer is absolutely spot on. I know some people use, is it Mr. Hobby Primer? We have a self-leveling thinner or whatever. Each to their own. But my primer of choice, let's start there, MRP. After that, I have highlighted every single individual panel. And I know I've got a photo or two of that, so I'll shove that up. And again, that is turning the airbrush down ever so slightly, getting my glasses on, late at night for me because I don't get any distractions, and literally painting every single panel. And you go, Jesus Christ, that's a right ball ache. You're right, it is. I'm not going to lie. Okay, it's a right ball ache. However, if you want tonal variation in the colour scheme that you are going to try and replicate from real pictures or from what you see in your mind's eye, black basing with panel highlighting, it's the way to go. I blacked it and then I lightened each panel with an MRP 374, which is a light aircraft grey. Okay. However, this is where the blue comes in. Once I'd done it in that, and I'm staying away from the rivet detail and the panel lines, okay? Because a panel line has only got so much depth to it. You'll put a primer in there, and then you'll put another coat of paint on into the panel line, and then another coat, and you're reducing the depth of that panel line. It's difficult for it to take a wash. So stay away from that panel line. After I'd done it in light aircraft grey, then what I did then was I moved on to, sorry for my big head then in your screen, I moved on to that, and I actually painted every panel in intermediate blue, and that's where that blue comes from. But once I'd done that, I needed like a medium sea grey, because don't forget, it does say Tiger Stripes over a light grey coating. Now, it doesn't say It don't give you no numbers, no Humbrol numbers, no Revel numbers, no Tamiya numbers, don't give you nothing. It just says over a light grey coating. So when I'm looking at my greys and I'm thinking, glasses on, and I ain't got that many greys, even though I do love a grey bird. Not that kind of grey bird. Light aircraft grey, ocean grey, medium sea, dark sea, excuse me, light Arctic grey, dark gunship grey, extra dark sea grey, dark gull grey, NATO grey, which is Eurofighter, that's no good, and US dark mod grey. So I haven't really got a sort of medium grey. I have got a medium sea, but it's empty. Why am I pouring it back up there? So to give it the, let's call it the top coat. So to give it the top coat, I got an ocean grey. And if you see there, it says Hind mix on it. Okay. Ocean grey, which is a 365, MRP 365. And I'd sort of used about maybe less than a third of the bottle. And then I added some light Arctic grey to the mix, which is an MRP 246. Now, what ratio did you use, Mark? I don't chuffing know. I just opened lid on one, opened lid on other, and poured some in. Give it a shake. Turn my compressor on. Give it a squirt. What am I like? Am I dark enough? Am I light enough? Am I too light? And I just kept, oh, you know, you got to be careful. You don't want to add too much that it becomes too light. Just add enough that it becomes medium. And again, I can't give you a mix. It will just literally pour it in, give it a shake, see what it's like. And when I just kept sort of looking at that, looking at the box art, looking at the paint on the back of my glove that I got, and a bit and a bit and a bit until I was happy with what I got. The beauty of the MRP paint is the distancing and the pressure in which you paint at. It is so subtle, it's unbelievable. And it is so thin. I've said it before, it is literally like coloured water. So I gave it an overall coat of my Hind mix. Now it comes to Tiger Stripe. How am I going to do this Tiger Stripe? And at the end of the day, I'm looking around at the resources that I've got and the wings that are on the helicopter. I thought, do you know what? I'm going to try something. So what I actually did was I covered the grey that I'd already put down with some good old Humbrol Mascol. Now, the beauty of that is when you put it on with a cocktail stick, and I'm talking again, shush, everybody, indoors, right? Lock the door. Patience is key. Tiny little bit onto your cocktail stick. Look at the panel line on the helicopter. Look at the panel line on the diagram. And it's almost like when you were young and you used to be able to draw a portrait picture at school. And you always used to grid your page out so that you knew that the corner of the eye was in this particular box. Can you remember doing that? And that's exactly what I did with that. I used the panel lines on the diagram against the panel lines on the bird, dipping my cocktail stick in and literally drawing a Mascol line to replicate that. Once that's gone off 10-15 minutes, then you can start to literally dip it in and fill it in. And I've covered up the light grey areas that I want to keep light grey. Let it go off. I did that down at Club with Dave, picture. Did that down at Dave, brought it home, give it a couple of hours, time with family, kicking football about, garden with George, had my tea, and then came in here. And again, pressure down, 7 psi, and I top coated that with RAF blue grey. RF blue grey. Hang on. Is it that one? It is. RAF blue grey. Where's my camera? MRP 380. Okay, MRP 380. And there's still loads left because you only need a bit. Gave it a top coat. Left it overnight. Came next morning. Peeled it that Sunday morning. Peeled it off. Fingers crossed, fingers crossed. Do you know what? Because you've done it with Mascol, there ain't no fingers crossed. Mascol just peels off. We've all used it, I'm sure. And if you hadn't, that's what I used. Peeled it off, but I didn't want straight lines. I wanted ever so slight jags. Jags? Jagged edges. I wanted ever so slightly jagged edges to get a replication of that. And I started peeling this Mascol off. And by the time I'd done it, I was like, yeah, absolutely nailed this. It's absolute cracking. Brilliant. Okay. Now, some modelers might say, that's it, I've painted it. And again, talking to John tonight, I said, no, that's my base colour, right? I don't even consider that painted. Yeah, but you've painted it. Yeah, no, I am. I've put a base colour down. I've blacked it, I've highlighted it, I've done intermediate blue, I've put a grey on, and now I've put a dark RAF blue-grey on. And that's just a base colour. That's your foundation then on where you're going to start. For me it is anyway. Because once it's dried, which with MRP is literally instant, and you can pick it up, and if you've got a light in your workshop, your shed, your whatever, and you can see where light will hide and where light won't get to, and I'm talking underneath and recesses and one thing and another, then you can use those base colours and add a touch of white or a touch of light grey, a touch of turquoise even. I even added a touch of turquoise, and you can literally start painting it then, properly painting it and going through. Okay, even down to, I used to use Tamiya Smoke for the post shading, because Tamiya Smoke, if you've used that, that's almost, I've had some chocolate raisins, that's almost as good as MRP in its viscosity, that it's extremely thin. It's like black water. Well, MRP, excuse me, MRP is like that, but it's 50% thinner again. So I'm starting to do some post shading. Some post shading, some post highlighting, going in with raw colour, intermediate blue, RAF dark blue grey, a navy blue as well, MRP navy blue. And it's almost like you're making a patchwork of colour that when you look at it in a certain light, it represents the different shades, excuse me, and tones of the colour that you want. And it's all about enhancing that base colour that you've put down. The belly was done with intermediate blue, again, over a black base and highlighted belly panel. Okay. Post painting, call it post painting. You've put your base down, you've put your base colours down, you've gone over it. You've got to be subtle. It's not just about, oh, I've just watched Mark's video and he says I've got to paint every individual panel a different colour blue. That's not what I'm saying at all. I'm saying that it's all about subtlety. Less is more, but you can see what you're doing. Okay. Bearing in mind, again, just said to John, I make this shit up as I go along. I'm not a genius. I don't even consider myself skilled. All I do is I just look at what I'm doing and I think, paint, right, actually, I'll just try a little bit of that. I'll just do a bit of this. I'll just do a bit of that. And the end result is, for me, it all comes together. Okay. Rotor housing, absolutely spot on. I did add some bits of wire on there that I got from Sean SGS Models. Did a little bit of that. And the metallic colours that I used was AK's Interactive for that. I've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 different metals: burnt iron, gunmetal, aluminium, chrome, jet exhaust. And again, it's looking at metal. Metal is not a flat colour, especially on a massive rotor house like that. So again, it's about a little bit of maskol. I'll just mask this off and I'll just give it this and I'll just give it that. And on that rotor housing, 1, 2, 3, the 6 colours of metal there. And every single colour's on it. In fact, I think there's a little bit more. I think there's a little bit of Vallejo model, what is that? Model colour, that's jet exhaust. And it's all about different tones and just playing with it, just having a go. Okay. It's a great bit of kit, going by it. Decals, some aftermarket decals. You can see that I've got a tiger stripe on there. That weren't in the kit. That's an ad hoc. Obviously, the hind being more of a Russian bird with what he's doing over there, I didn't want to sort of like promote that. If they hadn't have been at war, I would have probably done a Russian bird, truth be told. But because he's been an absolute dick, I didn't want to do that. So I've gone for I think it's a Czech Republic. Let me just check. Yeah, Czech Air Force. Okay, I've gone for the Czech Air Force insignia. But as far as the nose art is concerned, that tiger is a decal from a 1 in 32. I'm telling me secrets now. A 1 in 32 Turkish F4F. That decal's from a Phantom. But again, I'm not that anal that I have to make my bird look exactly 100% accurate. I'm not one of those absolute dicks that say, that want that colour, that want that want that. Look, at the end of the day, once I've built it and I've posted it on Facebook for praise and critique, once my 10 minutes of fame has died down, that model sits in my cabinet for me to look at until I get bored of it. Okay? So whether that decal is correct or not, I really don't care. I'm not that much of a dick. All right. What works for me might not work for everybody else. Some people, credit to them, they have to be 100% accurate, and I get that. What I'm saying is I don't. This is a hobby. It's fun. It's for me. After I've had my 10 minutes with you lot, I get to look at it for the rest of my days. Armament, building it, weathering it. What other... Right, so because it's a dark bird, a flory, dark dirt and a black wash, well, I'm looking up here because that's where I am, would not work. So for this particular one, I use this, which is the ultimate wash, and it's concrete. Okay. And again, for the rust tones around the exhaust, I used that one, which is rust. And then when I really wanted the rivet detail to stand out, I used that one, which is a winter. For the little drop down door, I used that one, which is a mud. And I also used that one, which is a sand. And again, I'm talking about putting it in your airbrush, and literally you have to, it's just such a delicate operation on your airbrush, down and back. We all know how it works, but so delicate, so subtle that it's barely just coming out. Okay. And then my favourite one, okay, decided to add some rain streaking on that, and that is my absolute go-to product for that. That's thicker than paint, streaking grime. And I will be getting some more colours of that, actually. I have decided, because there's greens and light browns available. Alexa's going to go off in a minute. Any minute now. And I will be getting some more. It's thicker than paint. It's dabbing it on. And then with this product, that one, dip your brush in, your wide brush, apply it with a thin pointy brush, wide brush, dip it in, don't dunk it, I'm talking about dipping it, dip it in ever so slightly onto your blue towel so it's dry, literally dry, and then pulling it down, and that will give you that streaking effect. Canopy went on with Micro Crystal Clear. She's there. Alexa, stop. Thank you. I did not gloss this bird. I did not matte coat this bird. MRP, if you used it in the past, I know that I think it's SMS models is supposed to be the equivalent. MRP, if you have never used it before, it goes down like glass. It's flat as anything with a beautiful, just over satin finish. It's not high gloss and it's not satin. It's somewhere in between. Decal application, solid set, because that's what we use. And they went down absolutely superbly. Loads of weathering on top. And job done. Posted onto Facebook, all my social medias like you do. And got some great comments from it. Enjoyed the build thoroughly. Loved it. I've hoped that you have liked looking at all these build sequence pictures. It's the Trumpeter 1-in-35 Mi-24V Hind-E helicopter. It scores 10 out of 10. If you've got it, build it. If you haven't got it, but you fancy a chopper that goes together effortlessly and looks the absolute dog's danglies once it's done, go and buy it. Okay, treat yourself. Brilliant. Next video is cave tour. Can't wait to do that one. Next build is, I haven't made my mind up yet. Thanks for watching as usual. Stay safe, everybody. I hope you've enjoyed it. Catch you next time. Cheers.